I am a longevity physician. I have access to every test, every scan, every advanced panel available. I could test everything. I do not. Every 6 months I run exactly 14 markers. Not because they are the cheapest or the easiest, because after 35 years of clinical medicine and thousands of blood panels, these are the 14 that actually change the decisions I make about my own health. Today I'm going to walk you through every single one, tell you why I test it, and give you the optimal range I'm aiming for, not the reference range your GP uses. Those are different, and that difference could be the most important thing you learn this week. Subscribe for more of this. I do not hold back the clinical detail. And if you want to see how you score across all 6 pillars of longevity, free Executive Longevity Scorecard in the description. 8 minutes, free, personalised report. Right. The 14 markers. First, the context. When your GP runs your annual blood work, they are screening for disease. They are looking for abnormal results that cross a threshold. If your numbers are inside the reference range, you are told everything is normal. Here is the issue. The reference range is built from the general population, including people who are overweight, stressed, sleep deprived, and metabolically unhealthy. Normal means you are not statistically unusual compared to a sick population. It does not mean you are optimized. I work in a different zone. I call it the optimal gap, the space between where your GP says you are fine and where longevity medicine says you should be. Approximately 88% of adults have at least one marker that is technically normal but suboptimal. They leave their GP reassured, but they are not protected. These 14 markers close that gap. Tier 1, the metabolic 5. I start with the metabolic engine. Fasting insulin. This is the single most important marker your GP almost certainly does not test. Most doctors order fasting glucose, but glucose is a late indicator. By the time it rises, your pancreas has been overcompensating for years. Fasting insulin is the early warning system. My optimal target, below 5. Most reference ranges accept anything up to 25. That is like saying the engine is fine because the car has not stopped moving yet. Fasting glucose. I still test it, but I interpret it in context. My optimal target, 72 to 85. Most reference ranges accept up to 99. There is a significant metabolic difference between 80 and 95, even though both are called normal. HbA1c, the 90-day blood sugar average. I covered this in a previous video. My target, below 32 millimoles per mole. The pre-diabetes threshold is 42. I do not want to be anywhere near that line. Triglycerides. My target, below 75. The reference range accepts up to 150, but triglycerides above 100, especially paired with low HDL, are a reliable signal of insulin resistance. Triglyceride to HDL ratio. This is the single best surrogate marker for insulin resistance available on a standard blood panel. I calculate it from the numbers above. My target, below 1.0. Above 3.0 indicates significant insulin resistance. Most GPs never calculate this ratio. It is more informative than any individual number on the lipid panel. Tier 2, the cardiovascular 3, and one of them is tested once in your lifetime, not every 6 months. ApoB, apolipoprotein. B, this is the number of atherogenic particles in your blood, the particles that cross into your arterial wall and build plaque. LDL cholesterol measures the cargo inside the particles. ApoB counts the actual vehicles. Two people with identical LDL can have vastly different ApoB levels and vastly different risk. My target, below 60. Peter Attia, whose work I respect enormously, argues that ApoB is the most important cardiovascular marker we have. I agree, and yet most GPs have never ordered it. You may need to specifically request it. LPA, lipoprotein a. This is genetically determined. It barely changes throughout your life, which is why you only test it once. But approximately 20% of the population has elevated LPA, and most do not know it because it is not part of routine screening. If yours is elevated, it independently increases your risk of heart attack, stroke, and aortic valve disease. Knowing this number changes your entire cardiovascular strategy. If you have never tested it, do it once, this week. CRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. This measures systemic inflammation. My target, below 1.0. The standard reference range flags anything above 3.0. But HSCRP between 1 and 3 but the longevity data consistently shows benefit in the 40 to 60 range, and most people in the UK, especially those who work indoors, are below 30 without supplementation. I take 4,000 IU daily and test twice a year to confirm the level. Homocysteine. This is an amino acid that, when elevated, indicates impaired methylation, a critical biochemical process that affects DNA repair, detoxification, and neurotransmitter production. My target, below 7. The standard range accepts up to 15. Elevated homocysteine is independently linked to cardiovascular disease and cognitive decline. It is cheap to test and straightforward to address with methylfolate, methylcobalamin and B6 if elevated. Testosterone, total and free. I test both. Total testosterone gives the headline number. Free testosterone, the fraction that is biologically active, gives the clinical picture. Declining testosterone in men over 40 is common but not inevitable. It affects energy, cognitive function, body composition, mood, and cardiovascular health. I track it to ensure my interventions, sleep, exercise, stress management, are maintaining optimal levels. If you are a man over 40 and you have never had your testosterone tested, it belongs on your next blood panel. Thyroid, TSH, free T3, and reverse T3. Most GPs test TSH alone. If it is in range, they stop, but TSH can be normal while free T3, the active thyroid hormone, is suboptimal, and reverse T3 can be elevated by chronic stress, essentially blocking your active thyroid hormone from working. This trio gives me the full picture. I see a pattern in executives so often I could predict it. TSH is technically normal, free T3 is at the bottom of the range, and reverse T3 is elevated. They are told their thyroid is fine. It is not. Their metabolism is suppressed by stress, and a single TSH test completely misses it. I think of blood work interpretation like flying an aeroplane. Your GP is the passenger looking out the window. They see clear sky and assume everything is fine. A longevity physician is the pilot reading the instruments. Barometric pressure dropping, wind shifting, humidity rising. The pilot sees a storm forming in 4 hours. Both look at the same sky. Only the pilot knows which instruments to read and what the trends mean. These 14 markers are my instrument panel. They are what I use to navigate my own health, not because they are complicated, because they are the ones that actually matter. Here is what I would do if I were you. Print this list, take it to your next GP appointment, ask for these tests by name. If your GP will not order ApoB, LPA, fasting insulin, or the full thyroid panel, find one who will. Or order them privately. It is not expensive, and the information is worth more than almost anything else you will spend money on this year. If you want to know your overall longevity score right now, across all 6 pillars, not just blood work, take the free Executive Longevity Scorecard. 8 minutes, completely free, personalised report. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. I am Dr. Mark Holmes. If you want to see behind the curtain of how a longevity physician actually manages his own health, subscribe. I will see you in the next video.